All right, the climb continues as we face the French defense. And while previously I have played the b3 French, where after d5, bishop b2, we sack the pawn on e4, but we win it back. I've been learning instead the after d4 d5, the Monte Carlo after e takes d5, e takes d5 looks like a normal exchange French. Normally bishop to d3, knight to f3, stuff like that. No, c4. And this might look like a Caro Khan Panov attack, which it would be if this pawn were on e7, but it does share a lot in common with the Panov, which is one of the reasons that I like it, because I play the Panov with the white pieces against the Caro. So a lot of the same ideas apply as in a normal exchange variation. We'll bring the bishop to d3, the knight to f3. We will castle kingside. Knight e7 is interesting. I'm not sure why the knight would be on e7. I guess maybe he wants to come into f4, which is reasonable. We can always consider playing c5, hitting the bishop, but it doesn't really seem to make sense yet. If castles bishop g4, h3, bishop h5, we do need to consider that, but I think that bishop g5, knight bd2 should be fine, keeping an eye on the knight, so castles should be reasonable. And this is basically just an opening that I like to play to try to throw French players out of their theory, essentially. I don't know all the theory in this position. I know a couple of interesting lines, but as far as memorization goes, like, there's not a whole lot, if any. So, okay, I think bishop to g5 makes sense. And if queen c7, which looks rather natural, I do like the idea of going c5, which would force bishop to f4. Do I want to trade? I don't know. Maybe I'll start with rook e1 to apply more pressure to the knight first. Because then if bishop g5, queen c7, pawn c5, bishop to f4, then the knight would be hanging. So that's what I'm trying to induce. Okay. That's fine. Let's go bishop g5. So we're also threatening to take this bishop now, because the knight would be pinned to the queen. Also, I probably could have done that, because if he takes back, then I take his bishop, and I get two pieces for a rook. Although I suppose the point is, if take... I have this here. I'm actually not sure I like that position. I should have considered it, though. Okay, f6. So I induce a positional weakness, which is great. That's very good. c5 is reasonable in some lines, but I think for now I'll just drop back. c5 is a move we only want to play if we can get a good advantage out of it, because it looks nice to attack the bishop, but the bishop just drops back. Like, we don't really gain anything, and we need to actually be careful that d4 doesn't become a weakness in those lines. Okay, so bishop d3, of course we will take back. If take, I'll take here with check, and I do like forcing him to play this move f6. That looks really nice to me, because there's a gaping hole on the e6 square now, which could be exploited later. It does, however, stop knight e5, which is often where the knight likes to go. So knight c3 looks normal, just applying pressure in the center. Again, we can consider pawn c5, bishop back. We don't really have a follow-up. Don't really have a follow-up, so... yeah, I think we just develop the knight. And this rook on e1 is applying really nice pressure to this knight, stopping this queen from moving. And because we again induced the move f6, this knight can't come to its natural square. The knight also can't come to b6 because I will fork his minor pieces. This pawn can't move to f5 because the knight would hang. Well, after c5 kicking the bishop, then the knight would hang. So you can see how we have some really good pressure in this position. Really nice pressure. So, okay. How do we want to continue? Well, doubling the rooks on the e-file looks reasonable. I expect if I try to go rook e2, then black will probably play knight to g6, offering me a rook trade. Yeah, I expect that's what he would like. Not sure how I continue. because my bishop's under attack as well. I could start at c5, bishop back to c7, but then what? Then what? Does rook e6 make sense? Knight here. I could double up. I mean, my bishop is defended by my knight, so that's not that big a deal, to be fair. That's a possibility. Sorry about that. I just had to take a call. So, rook e6 looks very tempting, and actually, we're also just threatening the bishop. Oh, yeah, we're threatening the bishop. That's an awesome move. So, yeah, of course, knight g3 doesn't work. I just take. Knight f8. Okay, I completely failed to consider that move. Okay. Completely failed to consider. Yeah, I suppose the knight is... Is it better there? I don't know. Probably. Okay, well, that might have been the wrong idea then. Oh, well, I guess we'll just drop back to e2. I mean, if I've messed up, I've messed up. Whatever. It is what it is. That's chess. I'm trying to think if we can use the fact that this knight is no longer on d7, but I don't really see how, because it's not like any of these squares are particularly useful to me right now. I mean, again, I can go c5, bishop back, I'm not really sure. So I'm expecting knight here. That's what I'm expecting. I can go rook here. If taken knight takes, I can bring the knight into f5, which does look quite interesting. I don't think I mind giving away my bishop, to be fair, because getting a knight to f5 would be amazing. I could, however, I could retreat here, but he's going to bring the knight in and then this knight over, so I think doubling up makes more sense. I could take and then go rook e1, but I think the immediate double up I prefer. If here I can take back with the queen to stop him from challenging me on the e file. My queen has access to e6. I'm still defending c4. So, okay, this is interesting. Am I blundering this? Oh, no. Wait. I'm not thinking straight. Knight to f4. Ooh, well, that seems to let me off the hook. I don't know, though. If knight f4, rook here, knight here, rook here, knight here, rook here, I'm winning. It is complicated, to be fair. It is complicated, but I really should have calculated it. But okay, let's take with the queen. If I take with the rook, then I'm getting hit with this, and I have no counterplay. So, okay, I think I want to go c5 if I get... Or do I? Because now I'm maybe threatening to win a pawn. I mean, I know there's bishop h2 ideas, but there's a lot of pressure building on that d4 pawn. Maybe he's going to take. Queen takes, king here, bishop g3, I think I want to go for now. Okay, knight f4. Where does my queen go? Do I go to f1 to cover c4? It's not like I have many other options. If I go to a square like d2, takes, bishop g3, this knight just hops in, so I'm not really accomplishing anything. So I think I need to keep an eye on c4. Now I guess I am threatening to take. Oh no, the knight can take. But then I want the knight to take, don't I? Then I can get access to a square like b5, which would be really nice. Okay, knight g6. Got ya. Now what if I take? Because again, I don't think I care if he takes my bishop, although I could drop back. Maybe dropping back is better. I think so. Because this knight doesn't really have anywhere good to go. And I can try and claim these are superfluous knights, where they essentially both want to be on the same square. So as long as I don't take one of them, they're kind of tripping over each other, at least for the time being, because this knight doesn't have a clear square to go to. By the way, if you're enjoying the video so far, please drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. So queen d7. So that stops queen b5. Makes sense. Prepares rook e8. Also makes sense. This doesn't work. The knight can take. Okay, what happens if I take? If knight takes, here, queen b5, that's quite nice. If taken, pawn takes, then at least he has a weakness on d5. Even if I can't immediately play queen to b5, that's okay. So, yeah, I think pawn takes is probably the best. There are there complications? I'm trying to figure out if I can play like knight d5 or something, but I don't think so. Okay. Yeah, no, I can't do that. That's not going to work. I do control the e-file for the time being, although he could go rook e8 at an opportune moment. But if he does and the queen has to take, maybe the bishop could be a problem. All right. How do I continue? My queen doesn't really have any good squares. Now, the question is a queen trade beneficial? So take and take. I'm leaning towards yes. I'm leaning towards yes. Because this is actually kind of awkward. Yeah, I think a queen trade is good. My knight on b5 is harassing the bishop. If the bishop goes to a square like b4, that might be the best square for it. Rook c1. Oh no, then there's knight to e2. Oh, knight e2 is very annoying. Although I can't really take, can I? Yeah, bishop e4 is a good move. I think I underestimated this. All right. I mean, I don't want to play rook d1. He's going to infiltrate. Knight c3, if rook to c8. I guess rook e3 guards. That's not so bad. I mean, he could take. I can't take with the rook because of knight e2. I'd have to take with the pawn. Pawn is weak, but so is d5. If I can get my king in, I could be okay. Does knight c7 do anything? I don't think so. Knight c7, if bishop here, knight here, bishop a5, cutting my knight off. That's scary. I could go for the immediate rook e3, to be fair. I don't have to start with knight c3. If pawn a6, maybe knight back to c3. Maybe knight c7, looks risky. If rook c8, which I think is more likely, I'm going to have to go knight c3 anyway. It doesn't really matter, though. Let's go rook e3. Okay, this is a bit difficult because I have back rank problems. I might have to try h. Oh, this knight does cover. Really annoying. These knights are good. And this pawn on f6, to be fair, is keeping my knight out of the game completely. Maybe I can try knight h4. Maybe that's a good shout. Because if knight takes, I can always take this knight. And then my bishop gets into the game. Knight back to g6, bishop back. I dominate the knight. Yeah, rook c8, as expected. Obviously, I can't take because I get mated. Yeah, I just get mated there. Don't want to do that. So I'm going to have to drop the knight back to c3. And just... Wait a minute. Take. I can't take with the rooks of knight e2. He does have rook c3, though. Rook c3, knight e2, king f1, knight c3. He goes up a pawn. That's what he's going for. I could take here first. I'm not sure if that helps. Here. Knight e2, king f1, knight takes. I'm not sure that endgame is any better. This is just a rough position. Is there anything else I can do? Because he's threatening rook c1. I could go knight. No, he's going to go here anyway. Here. I guess his knight doesn't really have good moves, though. Yeah, maybe that's better. If here... Sorry, king f1. He does have take, knight e3. Maybe knight e1. Take, he has knight e2. Yeah, he's going to get one of these squares anyway, isn't he? Can't really stop that. So take, here, here, here. How do I play that? Bishop d6? Cutting the knight off? I don't think that really helps. It's just a bad position, isn't it? I completely missed this rook c3 move. I could go rook e1, trying to avoid... Trying to avoid the trade. I should have done that earlier, though, shouldn't I? I could have avoided all this time. Trying to hold on to the pawn. Okay, if bishop here, knight here. Well, if bishop here, rook here, knight here, g3, knight back, king g2. That's interesting. Bishop here, knight here, g3. I can take my rook, though. Here, here. I can give a check, but then I get under attack, and then that's no good. I'm going to take. So knight here. Yeah. Does g3 work? Because it forces this. I don't know if that helps. Here, here, here. Knight. Where does the knight want to go? d3? I guess. King over. Maybe a knight endgame is more drawish. Perhaps. In that line. But I could do it here. And then try and march the king over. Thing is, the knight has e4 targeting f2 in that line, though. If here, you could still give this check. Knight e1, knight retreats, king g2, rook a1, rook e2. That looks okay. Okay, let's do this. So I'm down a pawn. I am clearly worse, but I can try and save this position. This is somewhat similar to the last game where I just got myself in a bad position and had to try and fight back. If here, 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 I don't think I mind that rook endgame. Although rook e2, a3. It's not fun, is it? If I go rook e1. Ah, there's a fork winning this at the end of the line. Okay, I can't do that then. I obviously can't go to g2. So knight e1 is my only move. Knight h3 looks wrong because of king g2. I'm also trying to give my opponent more options. Because the more options he has, the more likely he could play something like slightly subpar or wrong and could potentially give me a way back into it. So knight d3, rook d3, rook e1, king g2, rook e2, pawn a3, king f7, rook b3, pawn b6, rook b5. Whoa. Okay. I guess he's trying to come in here. Okay. f3 looks reasonable to stop him doing that. That sets a trap, actually, of h4 and then checkmate. I think I have to go f3 because I can't allow knight e4, can I? If I go knight d3, hitting the rook. Rook c2. Then I have knight b4, and I have some play. I actually have nice play there. Here, here, here. I have a passed pawn. If here... Where else could he go? c4, hitting my d-pawn. That's interesting, actually. I'm not sure how I defend that. That's no good. If I go f3, he could still do this, though. But then I have the h4 idea. Yeah, okay, let's do that then. So the point of h4 is that his knight only has one safe square on f7, but the knight can't go there because it gets checked, because then the king gets mated because his only escape square is covered. Okay, now the knight has e6 because the king helps. It's another good move. Here, here. h4, knight e6. It's no good. Also, he has this check now. The good moves. Good moves. King f2. Knight e6. Rook d3. Rook c4. Knight e... Sorry, king e3. I do defend there. I'm defending. I mean, it's super passive, but... Okay, what else? I can't move my rook because I hang my knight. It's very annoying. Because otherwise I could try and create counterplay. f4 is just not good. Then the knight gets in. So let's go for this. King f2. Bringing the king has to be at least okay. Yeah, king f7 is a good move. I saw it as a way to stop him getting back rank mated, but I didn't consider the fact that it allows him to go knight e6 with tempo. That I missed. Fortunately, there is no rook c2 because I'm covering. A move like rook b1 or rook a1, yeah, there's that. a3, rook a2, so I guess rook e2 is forced. I don't mind that, though. Rook e2 is alright. If here, here, here... Oh, maybe that's the issue. Nah, because I have knight d3. And now I have quite an active king, actually. So, okay, this isn't so bad. King e7. Okay, sure. I can't move my rook because I hang the knight, so I need to move my knight. I assume d3. Maybe I can try and come here. I assume king d6. Can't really kick the king away from d6, so I can't access either of these squares. I could look for this, dislodging the knight. If here, here, I get this square, which looks rather nice. If pawn f... Yeah. Yeah. Let's go f4. g6, maybe. g4. f5. Take, take. Knight in. It's not bad. Not bad. We are very low on the clock, but there's not many... Ooh, is he really allowing that? Maybe he wants to come here. That would make sense. So maybe I should start with h4. I'm creating a target here, though. Here, here. Yeah, it's a good idea for black. What about rook c2? Am I inviting... No, there's no rook e1. I don't want him to come into e4, basically. Is it a big deal, though? Here, here. knight here, knight here. I guess it's annoying. Although rook b2 is strong, looking for this. Maybe that's the way to try to create complications. Maybe that's how I should create complications. I don't know. It's speculative, for sure. I could try knight here first, and then play h4 to kick the knight out. That's one way to do it. His king can't enter. His rook doesn't have any amazing moves. Go to g3. King f4, though. Okay, let's go knight f2. I'm trying to play against this knight. His rook is, like, kind of active, but it also doesn't have that many good squares. It can't come to d1. It can't come to e1. It can't come to h1. The other squares don't really target anything. My rook is fine for the time being. Yeah, knight to f4 was interesting, but I couldn't really see what our plan was after knight e4. I mean, maybe knight to e6 targeting g7, but there's pawn to g6 counterattacking. Oh, I could have taken. I could have taken that, actually. Ah, that would have been interesting. Okay, knight f7 is odd. My opponent's offered a draw. Wow. I don't know, though. Like, here? Here? I feel like I have some play. This pawn is very annoying for black, but a draw... I don't know, a draw is boring, though. The problem is, this a2 pawn is a massive issue. Like, I'm also low on time as well. Maybe it's smart to just take a draw. Let me think. Check the... Do I have anything? I can't get to the 7th rank. The king covers e7 and c7. My knight doesn't really have a good square to go to. I'm going to take a draw. I can't figure out a way to win this position. This feels like a 2-result game. I mean, it's minus 2.5. So, yeah. I don't see how I fight here for a win. Because, I mean, the problem is my rook can't do anything excessive in the black position. Because I'm thinking, like, you know, king d3, trying to go rook in. Let's say, I don't know, g6. Okay, well, no, sorry. That hangs f6. So, I don't know. Rook here. If I go check, king d7, I don't really have a follow-up other than retreating the rook. Like, what am I planning? So, yeah, a bit confused as to why my opponent offered a draw, but I think it was the correct decision to take it. Yeah, my opponent found some very nice ideas earlier in the game. So let's jump into the analysis, and I'm not sure where I went wrong there, to be honest. Let's have a look. Okay, so that was not a particularly accurate game, I have to say. My opponent got 2 brilliant moves, wow. So, okay, e4, e6. And I do like this Monte Carlo system. I really do enjoy it. Knight f3, bishop d6, bishop d3, just normal developing moves, right? Castles. So rook e1, bishop f5 is a blunder. Because of not... Wait. Oh, yo. So, I was correct in the analysis that after rook e7, bishop d3, I'm actually worse. That is true. Because if I retreat the rook, he takes on c4. And if I take, I'm down in exchange. The reason this is winning, can you find out why? It's the move that I was looking at many times during the game. c5. The point is, after bishop c7, rook e7, if this is taken, I take and I win, right? Bishop d3. Now, apparently I have rook c7. And if this is taken, I get 2 pieces for the rook. But you might be saying, okay, what about bishop to b1? Yeah, that looks reasonable. But then I keep the rook, and I can just take on b7, bishop retreats, and then I have an extra pawn and a crushing position. Knight e5, queen b3, rook e1 maybe. It's all very good. So I missed that. Bishop f5, I go bishop g5, and we're still slightly better. But yeah, missed opportunity. So bishop d3, queen d3, knight d7, knight c3. I should have gone c5 according to the engine. Rook e8. Rook e6 is just inaccurate. I missed knight to f8. Here, c5 again is good. And after bishop here, bishop g3, knight f8, the game goes on. I can try and expand on the queen side. Yeah, here I completely missed knight f8, and I just have to retreat. Knight g6 apparently is not that good, because I can take, and then take, and if takes, I just win a pawn. That's true. If knight f4, though, queen c4, queen f7, okay, this is a bit complicated. Rook ae1 is just bad, and there is just knight f4. And after rook e8, knight d3, rook d8, there's rook d8. Material is equal, but after here and here, I'm down a pawn. And I guess d4 is just super weak. So we both missed an opportunity. I missed c5 and rook takes e7. My opponent misses knight f4. So that's just the way it is. So queen e2, knight f4. Queen f1 is the only move. So I need to protect c4. Knight g6 is a blunder. If I find g3... Oh, that's kind of obvious, isn't it? If take, I take with a knight, and then I come into f5. So the knight has to retreat. My bishop is not trapped because there's no g5. And after cd5, cd5, then queen b5. And I'm doing very well. This could be a problem for black. This knight has no way back. So bishop g3 is a miss, but I'm still better. Take, take. Queen b5 is the mistake. I thought a queen trade was good. The engine wants take, take, g3, knight h3, king g2, knight f4. If I take it, then oh, I get hit with this, right? Yeah, that makes sense. So I don't take it. I probably retreat to h1, knight back, and then game goes on. I'm slightly better. I need to watch this diagonal, though. So queen b5 is just bad, and I completely missed bishop b4. Completely missed. I think I was more so thinking something like bishop to f8, and then something like take, and I feel like I have decent play here. Yeah, bishop e4 is just a problem. Rook e3, rook c8, knight c3 is a blunder. Here I have to go for a move like h4, giving my king some breathing room and allowing rook to c1. I think I was concerned about rook c2, but there's rook b3, counterattacking and covering. So yeah, knight c3 is a blunder because of take, take, and rook takes. Brilliant move. And after bishop f4, the engine gives knight f4 a brilliant move. I mean, okay, that was a bit more obvious because we already know why. And yeah, here I go g3, trying to escape. Rook c1 is a mistake, so taking is better. So take, take, knight e2, king f2, knight c3, hitting a2, a3, knight b1, a4, a5, and then knight c3 will win the pawn. I thought maybe I had some opportunities here, but the problem is there's no knight to d2 because the knight covers. But my opponent goes rook c1. I go knight e1. Knight to h3 is a mistake, and I'm almost drawing. So knight g5, I have to find knight d3 though. Okay, so if rook to c2, I thought I was okay. I was concerned about rook c4. I completely overlooked the fact that I can counterattack. And if takes knight f4, pressure on the d-pawn, the engine thinks it's almost equal. Even though I'm down 2 pawns. Huh. I went f3, because I was really scared of this, and I thought, okay, h4 is a good idea. If black plays something like rook a1, for example, then after h4, oh, there is actually some play after rook a2. But let's say rook a2 wasn't a move. If the knight retreats here, you get mated. So king f7 is the best move. King f2 is the best response. Rook a1. Rook e2 is bad. Rook a3 is better. And after a6, knight d3. Knight here. How do I defend? King e3. There's no rook e1. And the game goes on. But rook e2 is a mistake. Knight e6. King e3. King e7. Knight d3. King d6. This is all good. I thought if f5 here, I had some opportunities. The engine doesn't love it for black. I thought maybe g6. And I was considering g4. I also apparently can play this. Rook f2. This looks a bit backwards, though. Not sure about that. The engine kind of likes it. But pawn b6, f5, knight g5. Here, the engine actually prefers knight f4. And if knight e4, rook c2. I saw this, but I couldn't figure out how to continue. I didn't see what I was doing. Oh, maybe this is the idea. Let's say black plays a random move like h6. Okay, well, we can target this. See, I was thinking knight here, and I thought, oh, okay, just g6. And I thought I can't take. Now, I actually can take, because if king e6, I win. But he can just take back. And after knight f4, g5, my knight gets booted out of the position. Maybe I can create an outside passer. But knight f2, engine doesn't like it. Knight f7 is good. And my opponent offers me a draw. And I mean, I can't find any way in, and I'm so low on time as well. That was the strangest decision I've ever, well, not ever seen, but I've seen in a while. I guess that's the advantage of being higher rated, maybe. But yeah, I'd be an idiot not to take a draw there. I had to consider it, but yeah. That was a tough game. I'm going to have to up my game. I'm really going to have to up my game because that was really difficult. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see another game in a French Monte Carlo, I'm pretty sure I've got a couple of them on the channel. Then check out the video up here. And if you want to see the previous episodes of the Climb to and Beyond 2200, check out the playlist down there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in one of those videos.